Hi there, I'm artist Aaron Rutten, and in this video I'm going to show you how to change hair color using Photoshop CC. So I'm going to do this with digital artwork, but you could also do this with a photograph. I have my artwork open in Photoshop CC, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways to change the hair color. The first is to add an adjustment layer down here in the bottom of the layers palette, and we'll choose hue saturation, and then you can either pick a specific color, like let's say red or yellow or green, or you can sample a color. Let's just pick a range. Let's say our color is in the range of the reds because orange is kind of somewhere between red and yellow. And then we'll click on this color sampler icon here, and we'll click on one of the kind of mid-tone colors in the hair like that. And then if we move the hue slider, it should change anything that's in that color range. Now the skin is pretty close to that color range, so the skin's going to change too. But that's okay because we can add a mask to fix this. So over here in the mask for the adjustment layer, we can go ahead and select black, and then we can go to Edit Fill, and fill that mask with black. Then if we select white and we paint in that mask with the brush tool, I'm just going to use a soft edge brush like this. Anywhere we paint with white, we'll have that effect applied to it. So if it's easier to paint the hair or just paint away the skin or the background, you can decide. In this case, it's a little less work just to paint the hair. Don't really have to worry too much about painting on the background because we're only changing this one color range. So I can paint kind of sloppy around the background, but when I get in towards the skin, I'll have to be a little more careful. Might even want to zoom in. And don't worry, because since you're working with a mask, if you overpaint, you can always switch back to black and paint away anywhere where you overpainted. I'll go ahead and do that here. Since I have white and black selected as my two colors, I can hit X on my keyboard to toggle between them, and I'll just paint away anywhere where I overpainted here on the face and on the shoulder here. Now you're going to have a way easier time doing this if while you're constructing your painting you create your hair and your hair color on a separate layer. Then you can just change the color of that layer rather than having to mask out anything. Because you can see on some of these hairs it doesn't exactly get it. And in that case it might be easier just to create a new layer and sample that color by holding Alt on your keyboard, making a tiny brush and just painting over those hairs. Let's take a look at another way to change hair color. I'm going to create a new layer this time, and I'm going to set this layer to multiply. Then we can pick a color, let's say this kind of aquamarine color, and I'm going to use the airbrush just to go ahead and paint in this hair. Now again, on these tiny fine hairs, it's going to be a little tricky to do. So you'll have to use a tiny brush and be careful not to overpaint. But you would want to make sure that while you're painting this, as I mentioned before, to keep your hair and your hair color on a separate layer. That way, if you want to change it later, you can without having to do any of this really complicated painting here. I made it a little bit easier to fill in by painting along the edge first and then using the paint bucket to fill in the center. It saves me a little bit of time. Now I just have to make sure that I clean up any of this edge that got left behind. And if we zoom out, we can see that we changed the hair color. And since this color is on its own layer, we can actually experiment with different colors now and just change the hair color. If we go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, we can do any number of colors for the hair. I think that looks kind of cool. You can also play with the opacity of that layer if you want a more subtle blend, like that. So there you go, that's how you can change hair color using Photoshop CC. If you found this information helpful, take a quick second to like this video and share it with your friends. And if you're new to my channel, click that subscribe button to get updates when I release new videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Thursday for another Photoshop tutorial.